now available in paperback and e-readers. Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. In a previous live stream, I talked about how the crack epidemic changed relationship dynamics between black men and black women. And I followed up that live stream with another one where I talked about how many good and working class black men wound up becoming angry due to the mistreatment they received as hypergamous black women rejected them so that they could go out here and get involved with drug dealers who were selling poison to their own people during the crack epidemic. Now, another angle as related to the crack epidemic is the drug dealer, and the drug dealer themselves also did lots of damage to the relationship dynamics between black men and black women. Now, the drug dealers were the sons of many of the single mothers who went out here and kicked the fathers out of their homes and their communities because these women wanted to embrace the white feminist movement and others wanted to get the economic security of the welfare state. And as these women kicked their husbands and their fathers out of their children's lives, this led to many of these boys growing up without fathers. And because these boys grew up without fathers, what happened to many of these boys is these boys never got a foundation in manhood. And because these boys did not get a foundation in manhood, they did not learn the male life skills or male survival skills that a black man needs to know how to navigate life in the world. Moreover, they did not learn anything about the man code that many men of previous generations learned, because while many black males were a part of illegal activities before the crack epidemic, but because these men had a father in their lives and had men around, these men learned about the man code, which are the unwritten and written social rules about how a man is supposed to conduct himself. Because before the crack epidemic, the drug trade was primarily controlled by members of organized crime known as the Syndicate, and because black males who were a part of that had to work with members of the Syndicate, they had to follow the unwritten social rules of the man code in order to do business not only with those members of organized crime, but in order to do business in their communities. And because there was a code in place, many of these black males would try to keep their distance from the black community as related to their illegal activities, and they would not go out here and participate in their business with people who they respected in the community. This included children and old ladies and members of the senior citizen class. They would not go out here and do anything to do harm to those individuals because that was all part of the code. Unfortunately, as the feminist movement came into black communities, what happened was many black women wanted to separate from the men in the communities in order to get that government money and economic security. And as this was done, what happened was the code wound up being broken because the code is usually passed on by men to other men. And because there was no man in the community, like the fathers in the home or other men in as related to the organizations, as related to the syndicate involved in the community anymore, what happened was you had males out here with no sort of structure as related to know how to navigate life as a man, and we had men with no sort of moral code that was taught to them by other men. And since there was no man to go out here and teach males how to navigate life as men, what happened is we had men who were primarily raised by women, and because these boys were raised mostly by women who thought they could both be the mother and the father, these males, one, were not understanding that the world worked differently for a man than it did a woman, and also they also thought that men and women were the same. So these males, because of the way they were raised, they learned a completely different approach to participating in life, and that is what led to them, when they went out into the world, not being able to go out here and, one, get jobs, or two, be able to go out here and, even if they were doing shady business, have a code for going out here and doing business. Now, because these men had no code whatsoever, when they went out here and participated in illegal activities such as selling crack in black communities, these men were far more ruthless than their predecessors who were a part of the syndicate. Now, the guys who were a part of the syndicate, again, they kept their business out of the street, and they were oftentimes maintaining a low profile because they were accountable to other men. But these guys, these New Jack guys, they came from single mother homes, and because these men came from single mother homes, they were more caught up in their emotions about the power that they had and the money that they had, but they did not get any guidance from other men on how to carry and conduct themselves as they were doing business out here. And because there was no man there to teach them how to move in those streets like a man, this is where we got a lot of these males going out here, presenting themselves in a flashy way, the way a female would present herself. Now, these males, what they would do is go out here wearing lots of these expensive sneakers, go out here wearing these expensive leather jackets, and driving big expensive cars, something that men who were a part of the syndicate did not do, because they understood they needed to move very quietly, not to go out here and generate a lot of noise. And an example of that was shown in the film American Gangster, where the character played by Denzel Washington tried to maintain a low profile, and when he went out here and put on the chinchilla coat to go to the Ali fight, it basically was seen as something that was frowned on. It basically jammed him up because they had a code about how they conducted themselves. But the New Jack gangster or hustler, he wanted to have that flashy image, and that flashy image came from him, again, not having a father in his life to keep him out of that business, and two, not having any other men to give him guidance. So he went out here and put on this flashy image of trying to show out. And as he was out here showing out like a peacock, what he was doing this was, for one, to go out here and get clout in the black community, and two, he wanted to go out here and get the attention of most of the black women in the neighborhood. Now, many of these guys, they had an extremely inferiority complex and were extremely insecure due to the way they were raised by single mothers. And due to the way that they were raised by single mothers, what these guys wanted to do was overcompensate by putting on the most expensive clothes and trying to drive the most expensive cars to impress most of the girls, because many of these guys, they feared that they couldn't compete with the brothers who had jobs. Now, a lot of these guys really hated the guys who went out here and had jobs at places like the post office, UPS, or FedEx, or even working at one of these offices. Many of these same guys were the ones mocking those guys, saying he's acting white or he's working a square job. And many of these guys, they wanted to go out here and they wanted to go out here and try to be bigger than those working guys. So what they would do is go out here and push those rocks. And again, they push those rocks in order to try to build clout in black communities. And the reason why they wanted to get clout was because, one, they wanted to go out here and be the big wheel in the black community, and two, they wanted to go out here and get the attention of most of the black women. They wanted the black women to be on their arms and be out here clout chasing. Again, these men basically were looking to get social currency, and as they were looking to get social currency, they weren't seeing how they were tearing down their communities and taking wealth out of their communities. That was the big problem with the neighborhood dope man. Was he was not a builder, and he wasn't a builder due to the foundation he had in the home with a single mother who was more teaching him about being kinder, gentler, and more sensitive, and caught up in his feelings rather than understanding that the world worked differently for a black man, and a black man needed to go out here and watch how he moved out here. And again, because he didn't watch how he moved out here, this guy, while he had power, wasn't very responsible with it. And because he wasn't very responsible with it, oftentimes he got caught up in his feelings. And as he got caught up in his feelings, he would act impulsively, getting into fights, or in some cases going out here and shooting people or shooting at people, all because he got caught up in his feelings, and because he was so insecure, he would go out here looking to pick fights with people, again looking to maintain a so-called rep, instead of going out here and understanding the easiest way to build a rep is by going out here and following the man code. Unfortunately, since this male did not know anything about the man code, all he thought about was money, and he thought money would be able to buy him anything he wanted, not understanding money cannot go out here and buy you intangibles like character or discipline or self-respect, or money cannot even go out here and allow you to be taught anything, because this guy, just like his mother, was extremely belligerent and extremely emotional and didn't want to listen to older cats who could teach him something a bit about business. No, this guy, he was all about having the flash and having himself out here drawing lots of attention for himself, just like a female. And because this male basically wanted to get attention for himself, just like a female, while a lot of women would chase this guy, the main reason why they chased the dope dealer was because of hypergamy. The reason why they did this was because they thought that this dope dealer, or Pookie, was a high status man, but his whole status was something made up, artificial, by white supremacy going out here and flooding the black community with drugs. And his high status came from him going out here and selling poison to his own people, tearing down the foundations of his community in a civil war, which basically put brother against brother, father against son, mother against daughter, daughter against mother, and family against family, and friends against friends. This is what this man was willing to sacrifice in order to go out here and build his empire. And again, this is not the way a man leads, because when a man is taught by other men, he leads to help build his community by looking to work with other people, whereas when a guy is raised by females and has no male guidance and no male support, what that male does is look to tear down his own community, thinking that he can build on the backs of the corpses of his own people. And that's what the neighborhood dope man did in the 80s to help contribute to destroying the relationship dynamics between black men and black women, because he had absolutely no ethics whatsoever as he looked to build his empire. And as he looked to build his empire based on him looking to get rich and not wealthy, what he did was go out here and look to, again, sell poison to his own people. And he got a helpmeet in many greedy black women who supported him, hoping that they could go out here and elevate their social status, and they could reap the benefits from getting resources from this man who basically was like a vampire sucking the life out of his own community. Now, this black male was one who every black woman wanted to support, because they thought he was some sort of leader, but he wasn't a leader at all. No, he was doing most of the work of white supremacy. And as he was doing the work of white supremacy, he was taking the lives of black people and creating casualties in the race war, which was a part of the Civil War between black people. And this is what really, again, destroyed relationship dynamics. This dope dealer, he was a major contributor to destroying those relationship dynamics because he was the useful idiot who white supremacy used as a pawn, and he used them as pawns to go out here and break the relationship between black men and black women, because as black women went to chase this guy based on their natural hypergamy, what they hoped to do was monkey branch to a high status man who was really somebody who was artificially created on a rickety branch that led to both black men and black women winding up falling. Now, it led to the black males who got involved in this game falling because they were being out here participating in criminal activity, and as they participated in criminal activity, everything that they gained from their ill-gotten enterprise was going to be only temporary, and white supremacy was just waiting for the right moment to yank the rug right out from under them. And for many of the black women who supported these guys, they also wound up falling as well because they gave their prime years to getting involved with these individuals, and some of them even went out here and had babies with these individuals, making it where these women were not suited for marriage because now they had the DNA of this man inside of them, and they also had this man's child. Moreover, if this man was out here and he didn't die as related to his criminal behavior, he was winding up possibly in a situation where he had a felony conviction. So this woman was no longer going to be anybody, any man considered to get involved with, because she was on the road to becoming the second generation of single mothers. So these women basically wound up messing up their entire opportunity at getting married to a quality man. Moreover, many of these same women mocked and ridiculed many of the working class and young men who were out here going to school, and they blew their chance at those guys. So the neighborhood dope man basically, again, destroyed the relationship dynamics between black men and black women, and really just derailed the entire community's direction as related to leadership. Now, the men in the community are supposed to be the leaders of the community. The men of the community are supposed to be the heads of the community. Unfortunately, during the crack epidemic, we didn't see much leadership because the men who were working class were kicked out from the first generation. The fathers of the silent generation were kicked out of the community, so they couldn't protect the community from predators and forces like the crack epidemic. And the Gen X black males, they really had no guidance whatsoever in inner cities, so many of these males did not know how to lead, and they wound up following down this road that white supremacy set up. And as they followed down this road to going out here and selling poison to their own people, what happened was we saw these men put in these dysfunctional positions of leadership they were not ready and equipped for, because these men never learned how to be men from other black men. Moreover, these men did not learn anything about man code, and because these men had no man code, they had no ethics whatsoever, and that's what led to these guys going out here being proud about being ruthless, going out here having no shame in taking the lives of an old person, having no shame about killing children, having no shame about selling poison to children and elderly people, having no shame as they participated in drive-by shootings and shootouts outside of schools. Again, off-code behavior for men who were a part of the man code, but these guys would do anything, and because they would do anything, they basically turned their communities into a war zone. worse than ones that we've seen in many places all across the globe. And again, that's all due to the way these men were raised. And again, I say the word men basically as related to their species, not as related to their character, because again, a man follows a code of unwritten and written social rules as related to how he conducts himself, and he's learned leadership by following the lead of other men. And because other men have taught him how to be a man, he understands that there are certain things a man does not do, and one of the things he does not do is go out here and betray his own people. But when you have a group of males who don't know how to be men, this again changes the relationship dynamics in communities. And when you have males who are not taught to be men by their fathers and men in the community, they again don't follow the man code, and that really changes the dynamics of the community, because you have males who are not equipped to be leaders and wind up followers, and these men look to go out here and again submit to the authority of females like their single mothers, and they look for the praise and the favor of the women in their communities, and that's what turns these men from being strong to weak. And that's why we got so many simps and tricks during the crack epidemic. The crack epidemic was the golden age of simping and tricking, and it was the golden age of simping and tricking because many of these men thought that they needed to go out here and have money to get women. But the whole thing is, these men, while they had lots of money, did not have the mindset of a man. And because they did not have the mindset of a man, they did not know how to lead like a man. No, they only knew how to follow like a woman. And they always looked out here to try to gain the attention and favor of women, just like their mommies. And they never learned how to move and navigate life as a man. So that really, again, changed the relationship dynamics. And this is why many men today can't get respect from women, because these males never learned that it's not the money that's going to get that's important, that's related to women. No, your respect is the most important thing. And if you don't have respect, you don't have a relationship. But many of the dope boys, they thought because they had money and they were getting the attention of girls, they thought, oh, this woman likes me, not understanding that if you don't have respect, you don't have anything at all. And again, this changed the relationship dynamics because most of the black women, especially the teenage girls, learned materialism was more important than respect. And because they learned that materialism was more important than respect, what happened was these women learned how to get caught up in their hypergamy, look to use many of these black males, and learn not to have respect for working class black men or black men going to build in school. They learned not to respect men because they saw these males with this money, and because they saw these males with this money, they learned to go out here and think like a gold digger instead of thinking like a helpmeet, because there's a big different mindset between a gold digger and a helpmeet. A gold digger only thinks about men as tools they can use to get from point A to point B, whereas a helpmeet is looking to help meet the needs of a man in helping him build his home and his family. And this is where a lot of black women got lost, because they started thinking more about getting that money out of a man and getting with men based on their social status. And this permeated through the peer group to the point where elderly women like grandma and auntie and mama were telling many black girls to go out here and get with the dope boy for his money, and to go out here and get with this guy for his clout, not ever thinking about the value of a man like they used to do back in the early 80s when there was a working guy and the guy would be brought home to the family, and he would be somebody who would get respect because he was just a working guy and he was working to build with that woman, whereas this guy basically came in with his so-called success as related to being a street dude. And as he came in with his street dude title and his street dude clout, what this dude did was, again, trigger black women's hypergamy, and they thought, oh, I'm going to get with this high status male, but this high status male was nothing more than an illusion created by white supremacy to get black men and black women down the road to tearing down their own communities. And having the black woman get involved with this guy changed her moral position, and as her moral position changed, it took the black community on a road to decline, because her moral position was all about stomping on her own people in order to gain success and looking to destroy their own people and their own community. Again, this is what changed the dynamics, because as that dope dealer's money came into the community and that dope dealer mindset came in and took black men off code, this is what destroyed the dynamics of black relationships. And as it destroyed black relationships, it stopped being about love and coming together and started to be about people using each other. And this is the type of thing that led to the foundations of the gender wars, because you had black women who saw men as tools, black men who saw women as objects, and this is all due to the dope dealer and him making a compromise with white supremacy. And as he made this compromise with white supremacy to get white acceptance and gained all of this money and this clout, what he wanted to do was go out here and again get the success of Madison Avenue in Hollywood and be able to do better than the working man. But when he went out here to put in that work, selling that rock, he sold out the black community, and he sold out the black community's whole overall life and destroyed dynamics between black men and black women. Again, he sold the black community out for some money, and while he got money for a minute, the entire black community and the relations between black men and black women never really recovered as black women embraced the black man who sold drugs in his community. Now, if you want to see me make more videos about the crack epidemic and how it destroyed black dynamics, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up my books where I talk about the impact of the crack epidemic on the black community, you can pick up my novel Spellbound on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And if you want to see how those dynamics between black women and black men changed in adolescence in the 80s, you can pick up my book, John Haynes, 1987. Both of these books are available in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com, and they're also available at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes, 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere.